Sunderland are ambitious, and I like what they're doing in the transfer window so far, and this is another brilliant signing for them. Granit Xhaka to Sunderland is done. Fabrizio Romano has given it a big old here we go, as he's confirmed the two clubs have reached an agreement for a deal in the region of £17 million. Xhaka is travelling today. He will have his Sunderland medical tomorrow. Then he will sign a 2-year contract with the North East club. And it all comes a week after Erik ten Hag, the Leverkusen boss, said Xhaka won't be going anywhere. Good to see him looking just as silly in Germany as he did at Old Trafford at times. But all jokes aside, this is a fantastic signing for Sunderland. This is one of my favourite transfers of the window so far. Easily, it's ticking all the boxes for me. It just feels right. It just feels like it's going to be a success. I'm a big fan of Xhaka. I'm a big fan of this transfer as well. I think I made that clear. But since he's gone to Leverkusen from Arsenal, I think he's been one of the best midfielders in European football. 2 seasons in a row, I think he's been one of the best central midfielders out there. Going to discuss it more in just a second, but if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Had loads of subscribers in the last couple of days thanks to that video on Saturday doing 11,000 views, which is my second most viewed video on the channel ever. So massive thank you to you lot, but please do subscribe and also drop a like on the video as well by clicking the thumbs up button. It helps out the video and helps out the channel. I'm trying to get 5,000 subscribers before the Premier League kicks off in less than 3 weeks time. In terms of Xhaka, he will be the midfielder that's sitting. He will be seen as a defensive midfielder in the Premier League, but I don't see him as that. Yes, defensively, he's solid. Yes, he will sit in front of that back four at the Stadium of Light, but I think there's a lot more to his game. I see him as a bit of a deep-lying playmaker, and that's something Sunderland are going to need. They're going to need someone that can just dictate the tempo of the game a little bit. But him, Diarra, Leafy, that's a fantastic midfield three. Not for a promoted side, for a Premier League side. That is a brilliant midfield three. They're all completely different as well, and hopefully they will all complement each other and work as a trio too. But I think Xhaka could be key to Sunderland going on to have a successful season. I think he's really calmed down and matured as well with his move to the Bundesliga. He's been there for a couple of seasons now. Brilliant couple of seasons, winning the Bundesliga, doing well in European football under Xabi Alonso as well. And like I said, I think he's been one of the best midfielders, one of the more complete midfielders in European football too. The Xhaka Sunderland are signing, I don't think is the Xhaka that left the Premier League after the stint at Arsenal. I think he needed to make sure he got that transfer right. And he did. He got it spot on. He's gone there. His career, I think, has improved. Going to Sunderland now, 32 years of age, but that's not a worry for me. He's got what it takes to play in the Premier League, absolutely. A 2-year contract, I think, is a very sensible thing for both parties as well. And this is a signing of ambition, not just this one. This is just another signing of ambition from Sunderland. But Sunderland aren't signing players that says, hopefully we'll stay in the Premier League this season. Their aim will be to be in the Premier League. And I know some Sunderland fans are way to disagree with what I say. I've seen Leeds and Sunderland fans telling me their ambitions this season is to finish, mid-table, for example. And that's okay. That you'll know more than I do. But from a neutral, if Sunderland finished 17th this season, I would see it as a success. You're, as a Sunderland fan, you're allowed to disagree and say, no, that's not good enough. We need to do more. That's okay. We're allowed to disagree. But my opinion is just staying in the Premier League would be good enough for any of the promoted teams. But these signings don't scream, we're trying to finish 17th to me. These signings say to me, we're going to stay in the Premier League and we're going to keep on. But these are signings that if Sunderland were to say, we want to finish top 10 in the Premier League, you look at what they're doing in their transfer business, they're bringing in the right players to achieve that as well. Xhaka's good enough. Diarra, I did a bit of research on because West Ham were strongly linked to him as well. Looks like a good sign. That midfield should be good for Sunderland next season. I rate it quite a lot. Xhaka to Sunderland, it's done. It's brilliant. Moving on from Sunderland to Newcastle, Aaron Ramsdale is the player they're being strongly linked to today. Reliable journalists when it comes to Newcastle are saying they're in for him. Loan with an option to buy. It's a no. It's a no for me. I think this is a stinky move. I'm not a fan of Adam Ramsdale. Not a fan of him at all. Newcastle need a new goalkeeper. Yes, they've missed out on their number one target in James Trafford is going to Manchester City. Yes. Do they need a other goalkeeper target? Yes, 100%. Should it be Adam Ramsdale? No, I don't think so. I don't think he's good enough for Newcastle. I think he's a poor Premier League goalkeeper, and also I would have massive concerns. He went on a podcast and told everyone he can't concentrate for 90 minutes. That's worrying. I wouldn't want to hear my goalkeeper saying that he can't concentrate for 90 minutes. I get why they're doing it as a loan move, and if anything, that speaks volumes. And I know people will say, well, it's because of PSR and stuff, but as I understand it, Newcastle are okay PSR-wise. They can spend money this summer. And they were going to spend money, 30 million, on James Trafford, potentially. So to go from that to a loan move, that doesn't feel like it's a financial move to me. Now, of course, you could say, well, actually, what it would do is means we can spend more money elsewhere. That would be correct. But Newcastle right now will know what's likely to happen with Alexander Isak, and it feels the most likely thing to happen is he's going to join Liverpool. With Luis Diaz going to Bayern Munich, that's going to fund Liverpool's move for Alexander Isak. Bear in mind everything that's going on, it feels inevitable Isak will leave St James's Park. So Newcastle will have 100 and add your number 30 million coming to them for Isak. They're gonna have a lot of wiggle room. They're gonna have a lot of money coming into the club. So I'm not sure I can buy. If someone said it's because they can spend money elsewhere, I'm not sure I buy that. I think it's because they're unsure on Adam Ramsdale. I think it's because they want to take him in for the season and see if he's good enough, which is a sensible thing to do. Because I would wince if they forked out over 20 million for him. But what that also says to me is they've gone from the number one goalkeeping target to, feels like, I don't know, the fifth one or something. Because you can't go from spending 30 million on your first choice keeper to not being prepared to spend money on your second choice keeper. I'm not buying that. It doesn't really add up, this one, for me. When I seen it just now, I was surprised because I just don't feel Ramsdale's good enough for Newcastle. I do not feel like that. I don't want him at West Ham. Maybe I'm being far too snobbish and naive and incorrect about Ramsdale, but I've got quite a strong opinion of him. I just don't think he's that great a goalkeeper. When I see Newcastle linked to Hermansen earlier this week, I thought that makes sense, going for the Leicester keeper. I think that would be a good signing for Newcastle. Ramsdale, I'm not buying it. I like a lot of Newcastle's transfer targets this summer, a lot of them. Granted, they're not getting them over the line bar Erlanga, but this is possibly the first one I've looked at and thought, nah, I don't agree with this one. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, sorry Newcastle fans, I'm not going to sit here and pretend he'd be a great signing. He may become one. I like being wrong when I've got a negative opinion about a player and he goes on to do well. I like being incorrect. I'm not buying this one. Doesn't feel right to me. Striker targets, I like them. Goalkeeping one, not so much. But that's the big news today. Newcastle for Adam Ramsdale. Big news yesterday, though, was Morgan Gibbs-White being kidnapped. I mean, come on. He looked like he was being held hostage in that video, didn't he? But he signed a new contract with Nottingham Forest. So this is brilliant news for Nottingham Forest fans. This is brilliant. Spurs went in, triggered the release clause. Big question marks over how Spurs knew about the release clause. They reported them to the Premier League. Spurs have buggered off, essentially. And Forest have agreed a new deal with Morgan Gibbs-White, kept a hold of their best player, got him to sign a new contract. Forest come out of this looking really good. And I think this, to me, suggests that Spurs did do something wrong. Otherwise, they'd be kicking up a massive fuss saying, hang on a minute, we paid his release clause. What's going on? The medical was booked. I argued 2 weeks ago when this news came out, I was arguing with Spurs fans on this channel. They were telling me I was wrong. That Forest are wrong. Spurs haven't done anything. I'm saying 2-0. I made it 1-0 last week because they were saying Gibbs-White would be done by the end of the week, and obviously he wasn't. I'm saying this is 2-0. 2-0 Gio. Gio 2, Spurs fans 0. But it did look like he was being held hostage in the video. You haven't seen it, go have a look. Because the Forest owner, Marinakis, I should know his name. Gibbs-White referred to him about 4 times as Mr. Marinakis, while he stood next to him looking at him. it was just a really weird announcement because it felt like a PR piece for Marinakis rather than Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White signing the contract is the big story here. That's the big news. But in the statement put out in Nottingham Forest, Marinakis was named before Gibbs-White. The clip went up with Gibbs-White and instantly panned to Marinakis stood next to him staring at him. Gibbs-White kept referencing him. Then there was a clip going up with just Marinakis speaking about it, about how they're sending a message to their supporters and other supporters, which is you can't have what you want from Nottingham Forest. Now, I don't disagree with that. And I actually quite like it that, to some extent, that he's not giving up Gibbs-White without a fight. He showed with Elanga, we're willing to sell players. If you bid what we think he's worth, we will sell him. But he's shown with Gibbs-White that actually he ain't getting players on the cheap, and also we are not lying down and taking this. Nottingham Forest felt Spurs did something underhand because they knew not just about the release clause, but they knew how to bid for the release clause. When there's a release clause, so in Gibbs-White's case it was 60 million. No club's paying 60 million in one go. It's maybe 30 million up front, 20 million the following summer, and 10 million the following summer, and that's what's required in order to activate the minimum fee release clause, which is what went wrong with Amari Hutchinson in Brentford. Brentford bid 35 million release clause, but their payment structures didn't allow the release clause to be triggered. And that's where Nottingham Forest had their complaint, which is how did you know exactly what to bid? There's only one way you knew about that. Someone's told you, despite them signing NDAs and there being confidentiality clauses in the contract. Spurs went in, basically sticking two fingers up at Nottingham Forest and said, hey, we know we're having Gibbs-White, thank you. And actually, Marinakis turned around and said, no, you're not. Stuck two fingers back up at Spurs and got their man signing a new contract. That new contract may contain a release clause, but I've got a feeling Gibbs-White won't be telling anyone about it this time round, if there is one. All jokes aside, Nottingham Forest fans, you're watching this. I appreciate just taking the piss out your owner and whatnot. This is a brilliant signing for you. As I will always say, player signings get all the attention in the transfer window, but actually the most underrated thing is keeping hold of your best players. Nottingham Forest have done it now with Gibbs-White, Nico Williams, Nuno. They've got some of the most important players at that club, or people at that club, to sign new contracts. Your new signings can be a sign of ambition, but actually keeping a hold of your current players, your best players, can also be a sign of ambition. And I think that was a statement from Nottingham Forest, a statement of, we are ambitious, but also we're not a selling club anymore. Yes, we sold Elanga, but that's because we feel we got good value. They rejected a couple of bids from Newcastle. They rejected one 12 months ago. They rejected their first bid this summer. Forest will see this as a success, that sale of Elanga, because they got what they wanted for him. But they're also keeping a hold of the players they don't want to sell. That's ambition. I like it. I like seeing clubs like Nottingham Forest, like Sunderland, like West Ham, saying no to the traditional big six of the Premier League. I like seeing clubs say no. I left out Newcastle on purpose because of the Alexander Isak thing. Not sure we can say that about Newcastle at the minute, but I do enjoy it. So when Forest have stuck one up Spurs, I'm all for it. And it's not just because it's Spurs. I'd say the same if it was Arsenal or Man City or Man United. It's good. I like it. Anyway, there you go. That's it for me. 3 transfers. Xhaka, love it. Ramsdale, hate it. Gibbs-White, scared by it, I guess. Please do drop a like on the video if you haven't done so already by clicking the thumbs up button. Sky me to Tartan. Catch you tomorrow.